Hi, I'm Femi OK. Welcome to the stream. Today we're going to be talking about a special immigrant visa program. It was created for people who assisted the United States military in Afghanistan and Iraq, but it hasn't gone smoothly. There has been a big slowdown. We're going to try and unpack why. But there is extra urgency right now because the United States military is due to leave Afghanistan at the beginning of May. And if the special immigrant visa program is slow, what does that mean for the people who may well be left behind? Earlier, we spoke to Betsy Fisher. She summed up the current situation.
People who worked directly for the U.S. government shouldn't be in this situation. Congress made a visa program and instructed that visas should be processed in no more than 9 months. The average time is more like 4 years, and many people wait far longer than that. Unfortunately, we're aware of several clients who have faced danger and one who has been recently assassinated after 10 years of waiting for visa processing.
This is not the first time the United States has gone to war. Why is this situation even happening? That's one question. That's my question. What are your questions? If you're watching on YouTube, jump into the comment section and be part of today's show. Joining us to help us unpack what is going on with the special immigrant visas, we have Kim, we have Matt. Kim, Matt, welcome to the stream. Kim, introduce yourself to an international audience. What do they need to know about you?
Hi, I'm Kim Stafiri. I am a founder of the Association of Wartime Allies. We have a private Facebook group with about 9,500 SIVs in it. They're desperately looking for answers and help to get their visas processed in a more timely manner.
Oh, listen to Kim. She's sounding exhausted and frustrated. We'll find out why in just a moment. Hello there, Matt. Great to have you. Introduce yourself to our international audience.
Hi, my name's Matt Zeller. The only reason I'm even sitting here talking to any of you today is because my Afghan interpreter, Janice Shinwari, saved my life in a battle back in 2008 when he killed 2 Taliban fighters who were about to kill me. I made it promised I could ever repay that life debt to him, I would. He eventually asked me to help get him his visa, and in so doing, I learned just how difficult it was for folks like Janice to get over here, and together we ended up founding an organization called No One Left Behind back in 2013, which has helped over 50,000 people get their visas and move to the United States and start new lives here.
So we also asked the United States State Department to be part of this program. They sent us a particular statement just for this conversation. It starts here. The Biden administration is deeply committed to supporting those who have helped U.S. military and other government personnel perform their duties, often at great personal risk to themselves and their families. That is a good start, Kim, but what is going wrong? Why is the special immigrant visa program not working as it was designed to work?
Well, not to play partisan politics, but to give facts that have been reported. The last 4 years, basically there was an effort to stall out the program. In as much as for the first 3.5 years, there wasn't even a coordinator overseeing the program. You've got 4 or 5 different departments that are supposed to work together. They had no one coordinating this effort. They are understaffed. The applicants have increased by 50%, and staffing has not increased since 2016. That in and of itself is one of the largest problems that we see in this program.
Matt, what's the biggest problem? I mean, you introduced yourself as, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for the person who saved my life. And there are many people like that in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah, so here's the reality of this. We lost the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan in terms of being able to achieve the objectives that we started out to achieve, right? In Afghanistan, it was to leave behind a country that was absent of the Taliban. They survived. They outbled us, they outlasted us, and they're going to likely inherit in Afghanistan after we depart. The reality then is that the people who befriended us, the people who partnered with us, are going to be murdered by the very people that we asked them to help fight against if we don't do something right now to evacuate them. The way that I describe it is there is a train crash coming. We all can see it. The train is about to derail off of the tracks. It is going to hit a village. We can't save the people on the train. They're likely going to die, but we might be able to evacuate the village if we start right now. And that's what Kim and I have done. We've written a report to help the Biden administration begin the immediate evacuation of our Afghan wartime allies from Afghanistan starting today, to begin the processing of these individuals to get to the United States, and if necessary, to move them to another part of the world outside of the United States where they can reside there until we can figure out their visa situation. Because the reality is, when collapse comes in Afghanistan, it is likely going to happen faster than Washington can react to it. And these people will be our last priority when it comes time to evacuate.
Let me just show our audience two stories that are very relevant to what we're talking about right now. So here's the first one. Afghanistan's Taliban US signed agreement aimed at ending the war. So at the moment, the US should be leaving, the military should be leaving Afghanistan May the 1st. At the moment. Second story here. Biden administration to review that US Taliban deal. So maybe the train is going a little bit slower than you think, to use your metaphor, Matt. But you two, Matt's shaking his head. Matt and Kim, you put together a report for the Biden administration. You were saying, here's the problem, this is what you have to do. Kim, reaction.
We need immediate and urgent action from the Biden administration. There is no more time. Even if we keep troops in Afghanistan for another 4, 6, even 12 months, we've got 18,000 applicants in this system. And as you heard Betsy Fisher say, on average, it's 4 years to process a visa. It's supposed to be done in 9 months or less. That is possible if the program is properly funded, properly staffed, and properly managed. And we have to start now.
But it won't matter. Kim's right. We have to start processing them now. But this is what our report says, which no one else does. We take it a step further. We acknowledge that if we are able to process these people's visas in 9 months, it won't matter if 9 months from now they're all dead. They have to be evacuated now. This isn't Vietnam. You know, when we lost the war in Vietnam, we had the luxury of being able to evacuate people to ships waiting at sea. We don't have that in Afghanistan. It's a landlocked country. And we aren't the Soviet Union. We don't get the luxury of driving north into Tajikistan when the war is over. We are likely going to have to fly out while under fire. There are 4, maybe 5 airfields in the whole country that can handle that type of lift. Which means if we don't begin getting these people out now, when it comes time to actually evacuate our American personnel and equipment, Afghan interpreters and their families are not going to get the scarce seats that are going to be available on the few flights that will be able to make it out before the Taliban take over.
All right, Matt.
The reality is fighting season starts next month.
Sure.
That's why this is so urgent.
All right, Matt, I'm just going to bring in some comments that you and Kim have inspired. So this is Lewis. Government contractors working for the United States, interpreters and combat interpreters, deserve to immigrate to the US. Another one here. Oh, goodness. Living a survival life here in Afghanistan after working with the United States for 3 years. This is Abbas, who I want to share with you, audience, and also Kim and Matt. And Abbas is now living in the United States, but he's concerned about interpreters who are not in the US right now, are still hoping to get a visa. Have a look, have a listen.
I'm currently in contact with a dozen Iraqi translators who have faced a series of threats that cause them to move constantly from one place to another to stay alive. For most of them, their lives has been an escape and run from place to another since the US pulled out the troops from Iraq. And those who can afford it, they go to another country, register with the UN, and wait for refugee status. And those who cannot afford it, they may move to another city, province, or another part of town. So basically, they are living in fear for the rest of their lives if they don't get a visa to come here.
Kim, what are the stories that you were hearing for people who are waiting for their visas?
Well, I'll speak specifically to some of the Iraqis I hear from. What he just said is absolutely true. I have received calls many times in the middle of my night because of the time difference, when people have been attacked, when there are attacks happening right around them at the time they're speaking to me, and they are literally begging for help for their lives. And this should never happen. It should never have happened, especially the Iraqi programs. They're in big trouble, and we need to do something about this right now.
Matt, let me just go back to this statement from the US State Department, their contribution to our show today. Everyone involved in the special immigrant visa process, whether in Washington at the National Visa Center or at our embassies in Kabul and Baghdad, fully aware of the threats that our Afghan and Iraqi colleagues can face. They are aware, they know about it. What are they doing about it right now, Matt?
Not enough. They've currently announced that they're undergoing a 6-month review of the program, and then they're going to decide what happens next. Fighting season starts in April, this month, in Afghanistan. I know because I served in Afghanistan, and I served in the part of the country where fighting season kicks off and stops with the weather. That's most of the country. The reality is we don't have 6 months to wait for a review to be done. We need to begin evacuating now. We need to begin planning for it now. And we also, quite frankly, need Congress to do something. Kim's right. These visas are going to ultimately have to be issued and processed. There aren't enough of them that have been allocated. For whatever reason, we've decided visas are somehow a finite resource that can, once mined, disappear, but they're not. They're a figment of our creation. We can just make more. So Congress needs to pass a law that says that anybody who qualifies for a visa from Iraq or Afghanistan, if they can go through the gauntlet of actually proving they've earned one, should get one. There shouldn't be a cap anymore. And the program shouldn't have a sunset provision. You know, right now the Afghan visa program runs out at the end of this year. It needs yet another congressional authorization to stay alive. It should, in reality, be tied to the end of our need for a program. There shouldn't be some arbitrary date that we're setting. These are simple to implement steps that could be undertaken right now. Congress could write a law and pass it this week. The Biden administration has our report. They've had it for 2.5 months now. They know what they need to do. They don't have to wait 6 months. If they do, they're just going to end up giving our enemies more time to hunt down and kill our friends. And American friendship should not come with a death sentence.
Something that leapt out at me of what you said, which is that you can just make more visas. You don't have to have a set number. But I'm just looking here on my laptop at figures here. So we've got Afghan special immigrant US visas, and we've got over 15,000 issued overall, and there are 7,000 visas remaining. Kim, but how many more people are there that need these visas in Afghanistan? Is this a lottery? What's going on here?
Well, the last report that we were told the number is over 18,000 applicants. That does not include their family members. So anyone can do that simple math and see that we're nowhere near what we need. Nowhere near it.
So just looking here at Crest Clippard on YouTube, if you're thinking, why are there so many people that need visas? Crest says it's not just translators. Afghans and Iraqis did many other jobs too to earn their special immigrant visa. And let's just be very clear. If somebody is helping the US military in Afghanistan or Iraq, Matt, what does that mean for them and their family? Spell it out.
Crest is 100% right. It's not just the interpreters. There were engineers, there were truck drivers, there were food cooks, there were people who came and did our laundry. I mean, you imagine every aspect of life that wasn't undertaken by a soldier. It was likely an Afghan or an Iraqi that was doing it on our behalf. So what does that mean? Well, for a lot of people, unfortunately, partnering with an American force can mean being excommunicated from the society around them. And our enemies have decided that their form of punishment is not just to go after the individuals who performed the job with us, is to also hunt down their family members. It's very Soviet and North Korean in its evilness, right? It's an attempt to not just hurt the people who worked with us, but also the innocent members of their families, as a means of letting folks know that if people work with us, again, American friendship equals death sentence. And I started off this whole conversation by saying I'm only alive today because an Afghan man saved my life. If he was here, he would tell you that he did that because he believed the American people were good, decent people who kept their promises. We promised these people that if they worked with us, and if they found themselves in danger because of that work, we would take care of them and their family members. This is not Vietnam. If we leave, there are going to be film records behind of what happens to the people that we've left behind. And we're going to confront that for the rest of our lives anytime we ever ask Americans to go abroad and find people to work with us. And if that becomes the prevailing narrative of American friendship, people like me in future wars die.
Matt, I'd like to show another example too. Last year, due to coronavirus, I discovered a pattern of on cases that infant children were not being added to ongoing cases. This ended up came down to you could stay in Afghanistan and your visas might expire because you finally got one, or you could come to the United States and leave your infant child behind. I recognized this pattern. I immediately took it up through my congressional representative and then worked with the visa team in Kabul. I personally worked on 25 cases. I know there were more that the visa team found. To date, all children have been added to the cases and all families that were separated have been reunited. This right here shows you how important it is to have a system that actually works. Because if not for me staying awake all night, every night, most nights, we may not have seen this.
So Kim, and
that is really so important.
So Kim and Matt, we don't have to imagine the worst because there are some people who have been left behind in Iraq right now. And we spoke earlier to a translator in Iraq, and this is what that translator told us. We are changing the way he sounds and obviously changing the way he looks. Take a look.
I'm speaking on behalf of Iraqis who served USA forces through Iraq War as translators with troops or employees in companies. Since then we have been facing a daily danger. Lately, our names list handed to the Iranian militias to track us, so we are expecting a new wave of assassination soon. We have been waiting for years, so we need our cases to be in a high priority, or our request to reactivate the SIV program, the Special Immigration Visa for Iraqis.
So there's a problem with people who were left behind in Iraq who helped the US military because their Special Immigration Visa program, that's closed.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And there's about 60 people that are still, they managed to get applications in before it closed down in 2014. And 7 years later, they are not processed for visas. And I have no words. There's no explanation for this. There's 60 people in there, and in 7 years' time, they've not processed their visas, and there are visas available waiting for them. Well, you can't use them on this show.
No, but the words are to the Afghans and the Iraqis watching this. If there's going to ever be an American to say this, I'll say it. I'm sorry. We let you down. We're letting you down right now, but please know some of us haven't forgotten you and are going to keep fighting until we get all of you home to safety. I mean, I wish the Biden administration would do the right thing here. They've got all the right people in place to actually enact the right policies. They just need now to have the courage and conviction to do the right thing.
I want to bring in one more translator. And again, we're not going to tell you who this person is. They worked with the US military in Afghanistan, and their story is horrific. Have a look.
Since 2009 till 2018, we have been working in a construction firm with the U.S. government and U.S. Department of State. And in 2016, one of our officers was in captive of Taliban in an attack on American University in Kabul, and he was badly injured. In 2017, I survived from an EV explosion. In early 2018, our company top managers, company CEO and general manager and other officers were badly injured in an attack on their vehicles while they were moving from office to their homes. In 2020, one of our senior supervisors was kidnapped by insurgents and is still missing. His missing caused our cases to be denied because the SIV team was unable to re-verify our already approved documents by him.
Some of the comments that we're getting from your conversation, Kim and Matt, Iraqi interpreters have sacrificed everything to help the US troops accomplish their mission. We're talking about respect here. They deserve respect, they deserve better. And also the Biden administration can help highlight the successful transitions of the Special Immigrant Visa recipients and their families, because some people are in the United States and they are living a new life and they are in safety. So you have outlined, both of you, very clearly the problem that we're having right now, that you're having right now. Now what do you do about it? Kim?
You know, President Biden can call me anytime, and I will show up, and I will do whatever I have to help them get this going. We can't wait. We can't wait. We need our congressional representatives to hear this. We need American citizens to call their congressional representatives and make them aware of this problem. We need immediate action without delay.
Matt, I feel your urgency. I hear it, but I'm not necessarily seeing it on the ground.
Yeah, no, it's not happening on the ground. So what needs to happen is this: our report, thankfully, is getting some oomph. The wonderful folks at the Truman National Security Project and Veterans for American Ideals over at Human Rights First are can help us try and get it to the right folks in government, and maybe see if we can't get it enacted and get it into play. The reality is this: we've done an evacuation like this now twice. We did it in 1975. We took 100,000 Vietnamese. They happened to be on boats, but we brought them to Guam. And then they spent a couple of months in Guam while we processed their visas and moved them to the United States. In 1996, we airlifted thousands of Kurdish fighters out of northern Iraq as Saddam's army bared down on them because they had assisted us during the first Gulf War. We moved them to Guam, where they lived for another 6 months until we processed their visas and got him here. We need to begin that airlift now in Afghanistan, and we need to reconstitute a program for our Iraqi allies. We've betrayed them, and we need to figure out a way to get them to safety. American friendship should not mean a death sentence. I'm going to say that over and over and over again because that's how I was raised. We are supposed to be the people who keep their word and do the right thing. That's what I believed when I joined to serve my country, and I'm going to fight to ensure that my country lives up to that ideal.
I'm just looking at YouTube right now. Abbas Musa, who you heard from on video comment, he is in the YouTube chat right now. Be nice to him, everybody. When my special immigrant visa first opened for Iraq back in December 2008, my case took less than 7 months to process. So it is possible to speed things up. I want
Absolutely.
to, yeah, it's not impossible. This is not Mission Impossible. This is Mission Possible, right?
Yes.
Kim and Matt, one of the things that you've done is that you've taken it upon it yourself to push, to ask for there to be change. Matt, how many laws have you been responsible for, helped change in the last couple of years
4.
on this issue? 4. Right.
4. Yeah. So
Yeah.
all the way back to 2013 on, there've been 4 big changes to the laws.
Yeah. Kim, are you hopeful?
I try to be. And it's hard. It's hard because I am dealing with real people every day, all hours of every day. And it's hard to be hopeful, but I will not stop fighting. I want these people to have safety. I want them to have the fulfillment of the promise that we gave them.
All right.
This is so important, by the way, because Kim, people need to realize this. Kim has never once been paid for any of her work. And for the last, 3, now 4 years, Kim has taken on the responsibility on the behalf of the entire American people to essentially be the conduit between interpreters and the government.
Let me show everybody, because we're at the end of the show, where we can find you. This is Matt Zeller here on Twitter. You follow his story. You're going to see a lot of him once you know who he is. This is his organization. This is Kim on Twitter. This is the organization that Kim helped to found. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, YouTubers, for being part of today's episode of The Stream. See you next time. Take care, everybody.